everyone, welcome back to Storytime with Kelly. I am your host, Kelly. These are stories from my life that I've lived through. Some of them are fun, some of them are tragic, some of them are like, Kelly, what on earth is wrong with you? Some of them are just randomly interesting, some of them are scary. Well, today's topic, I happen to be recording in October. I was like, okay, this is a good intro name for it. But the topic basically is don't co-sign on evil. Hear me out. Now, this isn't traditional evil as you think about it, but I have a story that happened when I was in the financial district at the Papaya Patch, and a few different things to know. The teacher group at the Papaya Patch had about 14 people, and we had an opening. We had a pretty successful group of people. It was somewhat diverse, but if you looked at everybody on a piece of paper, like if you put little circles on all the Caucasian people versus the non-Caucasian people, the people of color, it was very lopsided. That's very important for this story. So a position had come open. And at one point in the last year, less than a year though, in the last year, a friend of a friend, which that first person wasn't really a friend, but whatever, a friend of a friend needed a recommendation to get a job at the Papaya Patch. I'd met them, I'd talked to them a little bit, they seemed stable, they seemed intelligent, and they still had to go through like 7 interviews. And they made it, and they actually did a good job. That person, we'll just call him One, Mr. One. Mr. One was young, intelligent, and talented, but he hadn't really been in the workforce extremely long. Important to know. As this position came open and it was time to fill it, there were several people that were applying for it. And so there was Mr. One, who is young, Caucasian, male, straight. And there is Mr. Two, who is gorgeous, because he'll watch this someday. Gorgeous, talented, intelligent, well-spoken, who's able, you can tell he's gonna be a good teacher. There's person number 3, Ms. 3, we'll call her. Ms. 3 is a person of color. 2, I don't know if I mentioned, he's a person of color as well. It's important to know. So Mr. 2, person of color, Ms. 3, person of color, and also a lesbian, just because I think you need to know this. It comes down to these 3 people. There have been a few other people, but they didn't make it past the first or second round, and it's down to these 3. It's gonna be one of these 3. And I was surprised, honestly, that Mr. One even got this far. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't think he's qualified. And yeah, I know I'm the person that recommended him to get hired just in general, but he hasn't been here long enough. There's nothing in his history that shows us he's ready for this. So like, maybe he could be an intern for our group and maybe eventually, but no, there's no way why is this even happening? Why is he even on the board? Well, the big leader over the teachers, we'll call that person Monica. I like Monica. Monica did a great job in many things. But Monica seemed to keep having a long-term problem on figuring out who she was gonna hire for this position. And in having a conversation with 2 or 3 other people of color and one of the other women that were on our team of 14, everybody realized, hey, we have so many young, white, straight males that in New York City, that doesn't make sense. New York City is the most diverse city on the planet. Every country is represented mainly in Queens, but all over, but mainly in Queens. So for you to have a progressive Papaya Patch company and you have an area where it's all this one stereotype, something ain't right. Meaning, are all of these other groups, whether it's women or people of color, are they being left behind? Why are they being left behind? Are they being told consistently that they're not qualified? Or is there any way for them to get qualified, etc.? Because this guy was not qualified. Mr. One was not qualified at all. So Monica, after like day 3, no, it wasn't even day 3, it's probably like a week has gone by, and she still can't decide between these 3 people. And understandably, like I said, the people that had come to talk to me about it were not thrilled. And I thought, well, dang it. This whole team was phenomenal, but I'm probably near the top of the group just in certain skills. Plus I've been in the workforce the longest, etc. So I thought, okay, well, at some point she's probably going to come ask me. And at that point, I'm going to say something. What I did was, knowing that she was going to come to ask me who I should hire, I made a little diagram. And on this diagram, it's pretty simple. On this diagram, it was circles colored in light pink. These represented all the Caucasian people, male or female, straight, not straight, whatever, but all of the Caucasian people. And on the right, it showed all of the people of color, straight, not straight, etc. It didn't matter, but the Caucasian versus the people of color. That when you saw it in front of you, you couldn't deny that, okay, this looks really genetically unbalanced for no good reason. Because you probably had, out of the 14 of us, I think there were 5. Yeah, I think there were 5 people of color, and the other 9 were all Caucasian. And here she wants to add on Mr. One, who's also Caucasian. Now, some of you may feel some type of way about this. This is just a story that actually happened. This is me relaying the story and my opinion on the story. That being said, so Monica comes to me in the teaching area where I'm getting supplies, and she asked me what my opinion is. And she asked me in such a way that I think she's thinking, because I've referred Mr. One to the job to begin with, not to that job, the position, but the workplace. I think she thinks that I'm going to tell her she's got to hire that guy, and then she didn't have to deal with it. And so I pulled out my phone and I showed her the little diagram. I was like, well, actually, you know what, Monica, if you look at this diagram, you can see how very unbalanced we are. And it's kind of surprising considering we're in, lower Manhattan in New York City. That's really surprising, especially for our company. So also though, Mr. One is not actually qualified for this, not by a long shot. He could be eventually. He's a good worker and he is somewhat well-spoken, but he's not anywhere near where he needs to be. So I show her that on my phone and look at it, and I could see for a second she goes, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Bold girl. You came to me to see if I would co-sign on your crap of hiring somebody you shouldn't hire and pushing out these other 2 people. So I pushed for Mr. Two. He's great. You would love him. He looks like a model. I tell him that often. He's intelligent, well-spoken, creative. He has a good soul. There's no reason he shouldn't get this. Ms. 3 is great. We love her, but she wasn't going to be a good fit yet for that position because there's a few large gaps for work she had already done before. Like, it didn't fully mesh up with what we needed her to be able to do. Yes, we're teachers. We can teach everybody, but this person, we have a not immediate need, but we have a need, and he fits it, and he's ready to go, and we've even seen him present, and he's done a much better job than anyone else. So he was the person that got the job. All that to say, there are going to be times in your life, whether obvious or very subtle, where someone's doing something really sketchy and they're going to come to you and they're going to try and be a little bit sly, or maybe they're going to be bold and obvious, where they want you to sign off on the crap that they're doing. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying you should find an argument every single time that something goes awry, but just be really aware. Sometimes people want you to co-sign on their crap or their evil because they don't want to be the only person in case they get found out. Then they can either feign ignorance or they can even blame the decision on you. So be mindful of that, especially in the workplace. That is something you won't see all the time, but I've seen it enough in my years in the workforce that I was like, you know what, that deserves a mention just in general. So just also know, when it comes to many different things, people of all kinds getting promotions, if this is kind of like the saying in New York City, if you see something, say something. There are times which is the opposite of co-signing on someone's evil. There are times you are going to have to use your position, your clout, your whatever, to make sure that at least it's possible that the right thing gets done, that the best thing gets done, whatever that is. So just know, you can't just stand by on the sidelines and be like, well, she shouldn't do that. Oh, okay, I guess I'm just not going to do anything because it doesn't matter what I say. And with all of that, I realize there is risk involved. There have been a few times in my life, there's one time specifically, because I wasn't willing to let something go because somebody was doing something dishonest, that I got fired for it. I also got myself rehired, and then he got suspended for a month with no pay. So I'm just saying, if you see a way to do good, you need to do good. And if you see somebody doing something sketchy or evil or crappy, Don't be their accomplice. Do not make that choice. So watching this video now, you're going to be aware of like, hey, you know what? Sometimes my boss wants me to do this and I don't like it. It's really dishonest. But maybe the whole company I work for is dishonest. Well, we got to make some decisions there, don't we? Or, hey, this person wants to do this thing and some about it doesn't feel right, but I couldn't tell you what. Carefully find out a little bit more information and think to yourself, what is the long-term best decision that could be made for everybody in this moment? All right, that is enough of that. So don't co-sign on evil, my friends, and be aware of it. This is as spooky as I get for the month of October. So yet again, I hope you found this interesting. I hope this gives you some insight on some part of your life. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Thanks for being a part of this. You're always welcome to come back. Feel free to watch all my videos. And there's going to be some more interesting videos coming out in just the next few weeks about the time I got set up and fired and all that. It's a lot of drama, but I think you'll like it. All right, bye everyone. Have a good day.